Teachers of Reddit, what parent-teacher meeting was the most memorable? Had a meeting about a kid who wouldn't turn anything in ever. But of course, according to parent, definitely not the kid's fault. Teachers screwing the kid over. Never got the instructions. Best excuse, someone broke into his locker and stole specific assignments. The conversation basically devolved into something like this. Parent, we don't appreciate you teachers, the school, or how you didn't take the locker break-in seriously. Me, we looked into the situation. Camera footage confirms no break-in ever occurred on the date your student told us it happened. Parent, enraged, so you're telling me my child lied about this? Exclamation mark. Me, yes. Parent, still enraged, well, how can you be so sure? People break into cars all the time. Me, sure, but usually there's also evidence like broken glass or other damage to the car, possible tools used in the break-in, valuables missing. You get the idea. Eventually we moved on from that topic and by the end of the meeting accomplished exactly nothing. I've had a couple of interesting interactions with parents during my brief time as a classroom teacher, but for some reason, one sticks out in my head. We hadn't even scheduled a parent-teacher conference, but Mom was late to pick up her girl and I decided to stay with her homeroom teacher to keep an eye on her while we waited. Now, this girl was in my reading class, and she was quickly developing a reputation of just not reading. She'd keep waiting for me to turn my attention to another kid, then she'd close her book and just do whatever she wanted. It didn't seem any kind of teacher punishment would stop her. So when Mom swept in, looking slightly frazzled, I took the opportunity to mention this problem to her. This woman turned to her child and launched into a fierce diatribe in a language I'd never heard before, but really loved the sound of, and her child immediately started screaming and crying like the fear of God had been put in her. Mom turned to me then and said with narrowed eyes, if you ever catch her doing it again, text me and tell her Mama's not letting her play with a tablet that night. The kid shaped up in class, needless to say. I used to teach high school art. The administration had this idea to have an evening where we all set up tables and parents went through the kids' schedules and had a sort of speed dating parent-teacher conference set up. We had to bring packets of work for any kids that were failing to pass to parents to give to the kids and could set up future meetings individually if needed. Being that I taught art, not a lot of kids were failing unless they just didn't go to class, so it was a mind-numbingly boring 4 hours for me as no one except a couple of sweet students stopped by to chat. The very last block of the evening, a mom and dad just drop into the folding chairs in front of my table. They both had arms full of makeup packets and they both just looked so defeated. The mom looked at me with tears in her eyes and just asked, "What does my kid do wrong in your class?" I was so surprised by her question because I honestly adored her son. He was one of my favorite students. He completed every project on time and had a great personality. He constantly had me and the rest of the class in stitches. He was always the first to volunteer to help me out with any setup or clean up and went out of his way to say hello to me, even on days he didn't have my class. I took great joy in telling his parents how he was an absolute bright spot in my day and watch a little bit of the sadness fall from their shoulders before they left for the night. When the student came in the next day, he gave me a giant hug and told me thank you for saying all the nice things about him. I told him that I didn't say anything that wasn't true and that I hoped he treated every teacher the same way he treated me. He laughed a little and said he would work on it. When I checked his grades at the end of the semester, he was working hard to pull up all of his grades. By the end of the year, he passed nearly all of his classes. When IF was student teaching, my mentor teacher, older guy, and I did parent-teacher conferences together. We had a female student and her mom come in. This girl never paid attention in class and just wanted to hang out and talk to friends, so we put her on the front row. Well, evidently she needed something to tell her mom why she was failing this class, and had told her mom that the teacher moved her to the front of the room so he could look down her shirt. So her mom comes in angry and yelling at the teacher that he's a pervert, putting her daughter in the front row and sexually harassing her. My mentor teacher just calmly turned to me and said, "Have you noticed any of that behavior in this class? You've been the one teaching for the last 2 months." The mom and daughter went silent. They had forgot that another female adult in the room, could witness for my teacher. They quickly left after that, and I think the mom realized her daughter had been lying to her. I felt great being able to protect a fellow teacher from sexual harassment accusations. We expelled a kid who destroyed a classroom and office, totaling about $4,000 worth of damage. He assaulted 4 staff members who were trying to contain him without touching him. No one wants to lose the job over this kid. One of them required medical attention, and he threatened to accuse his teacher of sexual and physical abuse. During the meeting with his parents, we were told that all he needed from us was love. My first year of teaching, I had a mother who pretty much ignored everything I was saying and assumed it was all bad. I opened with, "Hey, your daughter has shown some excellent work in class this semester." She replies with, "I doubt that. She can't do anything." When I try and assure her she had in fact done well with proof, she dismissed it and said she will never be as good as her siblings. I then offered some advice for how to improve her already decent grade, and the mother replies, "That's it, I'll ground her for a month." For that point on everything I said, she literally added another month onto her daughter's grounding time. I ended up just summing up as quick as possible to try and save the daughter spending the rest of her life grounded.